But let's move in 11 through 20, and Ricky and I are laughing because last week I said, man, we know how to waste time. And I think we said something before we started that, this is going to be easy, this is going to be quick, and we go fucking 42 minutes on the 21 through 30 guys. And that we weren't even done. We didn't even hit all of them. No. You were like, let's bring up Jacob Evans. Yeah, no, let's not.
Didn't talk about George Hill, didn't talk about Austin Rivers.
Let's keep these brief, all right? 11 through 20. We'll start off with Dave's ranking, then we'll go Ricky, then we'll go me, then we'll go cumulative. Starting off at 20, Dave had our boy Seth Curry. At 19, he had Jay Crowder. Shout out to the Memphis Grizzlies. At 18, he had Tomas Satoransky of the Chicago Bulls. He pretty low on Sato. I was pretty shocked about that one.
I was just as low, but I moved him up.
17, we'll go with Larry Nance Jr. from the Cleveland Cavaliers. 16, TJ Warren. Criminally underranked from the Indiana Pacers. 15, Mikal Bridges of the Phoenix Suns. 14, Kyle Kuzma of the Los Angeles Lakers. 13, Goran Dragic of the Miami Heat. Heat fans are going to be pissed off, probably where we put Dragic. 12, they're going to be pissed off anyways. Heat fans are always pissed off at us. I don't think we've ever got a positive Heat comment. At 12, we have JJ Redick, now of the New Orleans Pelicans. And at 11, we have Marukes Morris of the New York Knicks. Ricky, 11 through 20.
Heat fans will probably be happy with you, as you have Goran Dragic the highest, but I won't spoil where he's at. For me, Rodney Hood's at number 20. Then at 19, Larry Nance Jr. Then at 18, Jay Crowder of the Memphis Grizzlies. Then Josh Okogie at 17. 16, Bogdan Bogdanovic. 15, Marukes Morris. Then at number 14, Goran Dragic. 13, Jabari Parker. 12, Tomas Satoransky, or as I like to call him, Zatarans. And then at 11, Dennis Schroeder.
All right, my 11 through 20. Starting off at 20, Mikal Bridges of the Phoenix Suns. 19, Seth Curry of the Dallas Mavericks. 18, Rodney Hood of the Portland Trailblazers. 17, Derrick Rose of the Pistons now. 16, he's been bouncing around so much. 16, Larry Nance Jr. of the Cleveland Cavaliers. 15, Terrence Ross of the Orlando Magic. Or Terrence Ross, the supernova of offense from the Orlando Magic.
Put some respect on that name, Sean.
14, JJ Redick of the New Orleans Pelicans. 13, Kyle Kuzma of the Los Angeles Lakers. 12, Marukes Morris of the New York Knicks. And at 11, Bogdan Bogdanovic of the Sacramento Kings, a dude that is lighting it up in the World Cup basketball, FIBA World Cup.
Now, is it FIBA? You know how Dave loves to talk about his FIBA. We got to bring up the FIBA, the Celtics. How he kept talking about how they're playing in
how
FIBA.
He's trashing the FIBA World U.S. team. Yeah,
brought it up yesterday while we were out to dinner also because we were talking about the Celtics. But our cumulatives: number 20, Jay Crowder of the Memphis Grizzlies. Number 19, Rodney Hood. 18, Mikal Bridges. 17, Larry Nance Jr. 16, Tomas Satoransky. At 15, Marukes Morris. 14, Goran Dragic. 13, Fred VanVleet. I get to shout out Rockford, Illinois for the second time on this podcast. Then at 14, Goran Dragic. I went backwards. At 12, Kyle Kuzma. And then number 11, JJ Redick. How many years have we been doing this? And I went down instead of
4. And also, for those uninitiated, Marukes Morris is a reference to Marcus Morris, who was a wet boy, and I mistakenly put the C before the R, so we got Marukes. Is that even correct?
What? Marukes? No.
Oh no, I put the U before the C, didn't I?
You forgot the C. Yeah, no, you flipped the U and the C.
Yeah, I flipped the U and the C, so it was Marukes Morris. I thought I flipped the C and the R, and I was like, that's not Marukes. We're just stupid.
No, it was a U
Mark
and the
Roos.
C. Yeah, Mark Roos.
Anyways, shout out Marukes Morris. Let's now talk about probably the guy at the top at 11, JJ Redick.
Okay.
I think you had him the highest, didn't you?
Yes,
Yeah, you had him the highest at 5. Dave had him at 12. I had him at 14. JJ, the biggest thing that hurts him here, and you probably can defend it, you love three-point shooting, and you love points off the bench, and JJ Redick will be able to provide that for the Pelicans, but his defense is so bad, and I know that this team's going to be very good defensively. They got Lonzo, they have Drew Holiday. I know this team's going to be very good defensively, but it's like he's so bad, I can't give him credit for that, right?
I mean, I feel like with how we set up the lineup, like him next to Lonzo, hey, play defense, get people the ball, and JJ Redick is going to do what JJ Redick does, and he's going to shoot threes, and he's going to be open on threes, and I can't wait to see. The big thing from this team is I wonder how much up-tempo offense are we going to see from the Pelicans? Because Zion's going to want to run. Lonzo's going to want to run. JJ running in, getting an open three, maybe even a trailing three. Probably not, because that's usually the big man territory that gets the trailing threes, like a Brook Lopez for the Bucks. But like, that's the big thing with this is what combinations are we going to see with JJ? Is it always going to be JJ and Lonzo? Could we get a JJ Josh Hart pairing out there? I don't think we'll get a Nickeil Alexander-Walker and JJ, because neither of those two guys are pure point guards or even real point guards in my mind. Both of them are kind of shooting guards. And do we see sometimes, hey, it's Drew and JJ out there because we want to give somebody a rest from our starting lineup? JJ Redick, to me, is going to be able to provide shooting for this team and versatility because he can play next to nearly any of the point guards that they have.
Yeah, I just think about the guys that are ahead of him, and I didn't put Derrick Rose ahead of him, but the other guys that are ahead of him, not only do they provide offense, but they do provide, and it's Lou Williams doesn't provide defense, but he does provide just something else to that that Clippers team. And I was trying to make the argument that Lou Williams isn't the most important sixth man, but also he's won the award like fucking 4 years in a row.
He's a starter on the bench.
But everyone, so is fucking JJ Redick. JJ Redick should be a starter.
Derrick Rose, I know a couple knee injuries.
No. Derrick Rose is not a starter. Derrick Rose is so overrated. I don't want to get to the Derrick Rose talk yet because it's 1 through 10.
Kuzma.
Rudy Gay is an actual starter. Kyle Kuzma, sure. Kuzma could start.
You could make an argument for like a TJ Warren.
Yeah, if AD wanted to play the 5, you could slide over AD, and Kyle Kuzma definitely fit in that starting lineup. Rudy Gay, if you wanted to knock out Jakob Poeltl, put LMA at the 5, and then Rudy Gay at the 4, you could definitely do that. There are definitely starters on this team. Redick is definitely one of those players, but I look at him and I just don't. He provides one thing to this team, and that is shooting, and that's all he does. And he does it efficiently well.
And maybe that's what he needs to be. As the sixth man, his role is, it's not a Marcus Smart thing of like, hey, provide defense. It's, no, we need a scorer, and fucking Lonzo can't shoot. You can.
Yeah.
So Lonzo will get you the ball, put the ball in the basket.
The guys that above him, at least, like, I had Kuzma above him. The reason why I had Kuzma above him is because Kuzma does provide shooting for that team, and he's going to give space to AD, he's going to give space to LeBron, and he's going to be able to allow LeBron to play point forward, and he's going to give us shooting around LeBron, and we know how important that is. So he's more important to that team because of the shooting that he provides, and he's not a massively efficient three-point shooter like JJ Redick is. He isn't a better shooter than JJ Redick is, but I think he is more important to that team, the Laker team. Marcus Morris, I think if Marcus Morris is on any other team, we'd see his impact when it comes to the playoffs. I mean, you saw it, at least when he was with the Celtics. He was guarding LeBron James. He was doing a great job with that, and he added a three-point shot. If he was on a different team, he would be a fantastic six man, but he went to the Knicks, fouled that money, go get your bag, kid. Bogdan Bogdanovic, he's an interesting player because he could definitely be a starter too. If you wanted to move Buddy to the 3 and put him in the 2, that's possible, or flip that as well. He's a guy that provides ball handling and three-point shooting off that Kings bench that might be impactful as well, because that is a possible sneaky playoff team. Tomas Satoransky, I think, is massively underrated. He's one of the only guys with that difference between offensive rating and defensive rating that is a massive 124 offensive rating and like a 106 defensive rating. He's a guy that is extremely efficient. I just look at these guys, and there's guys above the JJ Redick that I think will make more of an impact on their team. And while JJ Redick is extremely good at what he does, I do think he's an extremely limited player, and that's why I had him so low, because he is very good for what he is. And if you had him higher, I would not disagree with you.
It all comes down to me, JJ being in my top 10 is more so of a going back to what I said with, hey, these rankings could be real easy if you're looking for just points, because that's what I want out of JJ Redick off the bench is give me those points, because really who else are we going to have in that second unit for the Pelicans to lead that team and take on that scoring burden? JJ could be that guy from the outside.
But I think, again, we talked about our guy Derek Favors. We talked about our guy Zion Williamson in the past couple episodes. And I think Drew Holiday still is near a 20-point-per-game scorer. I think Redick's role is going to be a little bit more limited than it was in Philadelphia, because he's not going to be a starter. He's going to be coming off the bench. But we'll definitely have to see. Brandon Ingram, too.
The guy I want to bring up is the one that I feel like, let's see, I don't want to below where you and Dave have him because both of you have him in the top 10. I have him lower. I had him in our 21 through 30 section. Sell me on sell me on the Fred VanVleet top 10 six-man, because for me, here's what I'm thinking. That Raptors team is going to be vastly different than Kawhi. It just affects the landscape of that team.
It doesn't make him a worse player, though.
No, I'm not saying a worse player, but I'm saying when you have better players around you, it's easier it takes a little bit of burden off you because, hey, I don't have to do as much because we have such a great player here. And now with that being moved, you might have a guy where OG Anunoby might not be with that second team the whole time. Could be moved to the starting lineup to where Fred VanVleet, I wonder, was last year just right place, right time, right team, or was it a step in the right direction and he's going to take another step this year?
No, I think he's going to take another step this year because he's going to get more minutes. I think they're going to look to him more, and he's done everything they've asked from him for the past 2 years. I mean, this was a guy that even did it before Kawhi was over there. He was doing it with DeMar DeRozan. He was a fantastic bench piece in 2017, 2018. Over the past 2 years, he's shot nearly 40% from three, and he's a guy that moves the ball around as well, and he takes pressure off Kyle Lowry. We know Kyle Lowry is getting older. He's going to be impactful there, and I understand that you're worried about the new look of the Raptors, but we're talking about Nick Nurse and we're talking about Masai Ujiri, who has created two great teams here in Toronto. And Nick Nurse obviously proved that he can be a fantastic coach. And he was putting Fred VanVleet in the most crucial of moments last year in the NBA Finals. And if they didn't have Fred VanVleet, they wouldn't have won the Finals. And I know you're saying like, oh, well, it's a different new look team with Kawhi Leonard, but I don't think that's going to change what he does. I still think they're going to, Kawhi Leonard was a guy that they gave the ball to a ton and he was just going to attack and dominate. But I think it makes them worse, but it doesn't change up their goals. And their goals are still to shoot three-pointers, and their goal is still to move the ball around. Their goal is still to play great defense. And Fred VanVleet does that. Fred VanVleet went out there, and again, we talked about offensive rating and defensive rating discrepancies. Typically with these guys, they have higher defensive ratings than they do offensive ratings. Fred VanVleet goes out there and puts up 114 offensive rating, and he does go out there and puts up 110 defensive rating. He is a guy that is massively efficient with the ball in his hands. He's a guy that moves the ball around, it doesn't turn it over, and he scores when asked to. He is a guy that adds something to this team off the bench where they can go smaller with their guards, and we saw how effective that Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet pairing was last year, and I think it's something that they're going to explore more this year, and I think they're going to try to give a shot to, I'm blanking on the guy's name, DeLon Wright, I think. DeLon Wright, I think, is their shooting guard. They're going to give him a shot this year as their starter, but I wouldn't be shocked if Fred VanVleet possibly took that role over by the end of the year.
Norman Powell.
Yeah, I thought Norman Powell was traded, but yeah, it was DeLon Wright who was traded. Yeah. Norman Powell, I think, they're going to give him a shot, but I wouldn't be shocked if they replaced Fred VanVleet with Norman Powell. I mean, Fred VanVleet last year even started a couple games for them. He was impactful to this team that won the NBA Finals. And again, look back to the Finals, the part where you want to see this impact. In the last game, he put up 22 points. Fred VanVleet became a father and became Dad Fred VanVleet and turned on to a next level. He's playing fantastic defense.
Well,
and he was
you get
lighting
that
it up
dad
from the outside.
It just levels you up a little bit.
Yeah, he was lighting it up from the outside. So I do think that Fred VanVleet is going to be massively impactful to this Toronto team.
With me, the big thing is, and many people in my rankings are probably going to be like, Ricky, you're sleeping on Fred VanVleet. Two reasons why it's a shocker that I am, because number one, usually people where it's like, hey, Illinois native, Rockford, cool, giving you a shout out. I'm going to rank you really high just because of that. And also the one thing I will say, devil's advocate to myself, you mentioned it, but I'll throw the stats out there. Shoots threes very well. 41% 2 years ago, 37% last year. The only reason why he had a little bit of a down click is because he was averaging about one attempt more per game. And with me, maybe it's just I have too many questions about this Raptors team as a whole, so it's bringing the vibe down for me with the Raptors is the thing. I just wonder what Fred VanVleet, and only this season will answer this question of, is he going to be the Andre Iguodala type of player for this team? And when I say that, being like, yep, that's our sixth man. That's who we rely on. That's the guy. Or will it be one of those things where he's good, but when it comes to the Raptors, we're like, yeah, Fred VanVleet was good, but man, remember when he really played up when they won the title? Like,
I don't get your point. What are you trying to say?
Where is he going to be the reliable six man, or will he be that one hit wonder? Where it's like, hey, remember that real?
But
good
he hasn't
year?
been. I mean, you saw over the past 2 years he hasn't been a one hit wonder. And he's been a guy that they.
And I'm not saying that it's going to be like he falls off the face of the earth, but it'll be enough of a step back to where people go.
But why would he take a step back?
To me, I'm just with the whole, like I said, the whole different look of this team. Kawhi leaving. And I know that it's like, well, Ricky, one player's not going to make him bad. Teams are going to look at this team now differently defensively because they don't have to rely on, hey, we got to put two guys, we got to focus a lot on Kawhi because we don't want him to kill us. I feel like last year's finals was hey, let's make sure he doesn't score and let's make sure he beats us. And Fred VanVleet just stepped up.
But it wasn't even just in the finals where he stepped up. I mean, he was putting up points even. I'm looking at Kawhi Leonard, so I was about to say, holy shit, he was putting up 35 points a game. But no, you look at even the Milwaukee series, the last 3 games of that, he had 13, 21, and 14. He was a guy that was hitting 3 of 3, 7 of 9, 4 of 5 from 3. Like he was on fire from 3 throughout that whole last half of the playoffs, shooting 52% from 3. And yeah, he's not going to shoot 52% from 3, but he is a guy that's extremely efficient, has been extremely efficient throughout his career from deep. And I think that's going to continue. I don't think he's going to be like, falling off the face of the earth here. I do think that this team and Nick Nurse are very good when it comes up to drawing plays and getting their guys open. And I think he's going to be able to do that consistently for Fred VanVleet, because Fred VanVleet has been able to prove himself that he is able to get into nice spaces, set up his teammates, and consistently put them in spots to score. And he's been able to play off ball as well. And he still has Kyle Lowry, and Kyle Lowry can still create enough to get some space for other shooters like Fred VanVleet. So I still think he's going to get open looks and stuff like that. So I would be shocked if he didn't get those type of looks again or anything like that. And I'm going to try to I'm trying to do this on the fly, but I'm trying to figure out what his stats were without Kawhi
on the floor.
Yeah, because Kawhi didn't didn't play a ton last year. 71, so we'll go to 76. Great podcasting here. All right, that's it. So we can just delete that down. So in the games that they didn't have Kawhi, they lost 2 games. Where Fred VanVleet played and Kawhi didn't play, they lost 2 games out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So they went 12-2 without Kawhi Leonard. And that was pretty much the same team, right? I mean, who did they lose outside of that? Pretty much nobody. And throughout those games, I mean, he was putting up 23, 12, 13, 30, 14, 19, 15, 12, 12, 10, 11, 18, 17, 13. And he started 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He didn't start in 4 of those games. So 8 of the games he did start. Now I think they're going to give Norm Powell a shot, but that's not even for sure and certain. They could definitely give Fred VanVleet a shot, and he's been able to prove himself in those games without Kawhi Leonard. This team still has Marc Gasol. This team still has Pascal Siakam, who I think is going to take a jump. That team wasn't all just Kawhi. They won the finals because of Kawhi, but they're still going to be a playoff team even without Kawhi Leonard. So it's not like they now have all these 5 guys and everyone else is this bad that they're just going to be able to lock everybody down. They still are able to scheme guys open. They're still able to set screens. They're still able to move the ball around. Everybody in that starting 5 are great passers. And adding, taking Norm Powell out and adding Fred VanVleet in there is still going to give him open looks. And he is able to prove that, over the past 3 years and his past 3 years in the NBA, he's been able to knock down open shots. And Fred VanVleet still has the ability to shake some guys loose and hit some shots. So I do think that Fred VanVleet is a very good guard coming off that bench. And playing next to Kyle Lowry and some of these players, he'll be able to find his shots. And I think he's going to be still super effective on this team.
And I will say, not often does this happen on the podcast, but as recording this, I will kind of concede a little bit where it's like, hey, maybe I should have him higher than 21. Maybe I should have him in the top 20. But just, and the last thing I'll say about Fred VanVleet so we can talk about some of these other guys, I wonder, and it's a question for this year of when we get to the playoffs, because the Raptors will be a playoff team. I'm not going to be that guy to knock them out of the playoffs. I don't think they're one of the teams that gets knocked out this year. But last year, I think Fred VanVleet was that guy where how he was able to, you got to step up and put the ball in the basket, but he had those opportunities because people were like, and teams were like, hey, we got to stop Kawhi. We got to stop Pascal Siakam. They can beat us, but make sure this guy doesn't beat us. And then Fred VanVleet was like, hey, I'm here. I'll help you. And then it propelled them to win games. I wonder if it's going to be the same thing this year with, like, yes, Siakam should take a leap, but, like, when you lose the name of Kawhi and other people have to now, like, that team's going to have a learning curve at the beginning of the year.
My point is you still have three guys that can score, and Kawhi Leonard wasn't that whole team. Kyle Lowry can still score, and he's still dangerous. Marcus Gasol is still dangerous, and Serge Ibaka as well, coming off the bench, still dangerous, and is along with that Pascal Siakam is. So it's not like that team was Kawhi. So let's just move away from that because I don't think this discussion's going anywhere. Let's talk about Tomas Satoransky. Sato coming over, possibly could be the starter for the Chicago Bulls. I had him at 10. Dave shockingly had him at 18. You had him at 12. Weirdly enough, I'm the Chicago homer here. I'm not even the Bulls fan, but Satoransky I do think is going to add something very interesting to this team, and I think he's going to be effective. And you add him around shooters like your guys who can score, like Zach LaVine, like Lauri Markkanen, and Bulls fans are hoping that Wendell Carter can be that as well. Otto Porter is a great shooter as well. Tomas Satoransky can literally do anything on the floor. 9 points per game last year, was pretty effective at causing turnovers, had a steal per game, 5 assists last year, can grab some boards, and has been a monster so far in the FIBA World Cup. But even then, he's been a huge, efficient scorer, 48.5% from the field, 39.5%. He's only played with just Bradley Beal for the past couple of seasons. He had John Wall in there a little bit, but when John Wall went down, Sato was in that starting lineup, and Satoransky is a guy that has crazy numbers when it comes to next level stats. In 2017-2018, 124 offensive rating compared to 111 defensive rating, and a 121 offensive rating compared to a 116 defensive rating. Not great, but on two horrible Wizards teams, you think adding that next to Markkanen, who plays good to okay defense, Wendell Carter, who's supposed to be the defensive guy on that team, Otto Porter, who plays great defense, and Zach LaVine, who's there. You have
who's
a
just
guy
there
that I think
who we're hoping makes another step.
Yeah, I think that he can add a little bit more to this team when it comes to defense, and I would be really interested to see how he does at the one. And I think that when you take his abilities of passing and his length and his ability to get to the bucket and score and his three-point shooting, that's going to allow Zach to possibly set guys up. Most of those guys are decent passers on the team as well. He'll be able to hit some open shots. I do think he's going to add something very interesting to this team, and I think people are kind of sleeping on him.
Yeah, he's going to be our Czech army knife is what I'm going to call it, because he's not Swiss. He's Czechoslovakian. And the thing that I was lower on him initially, and then I thought about it, because originally I looked at it and I was like, you know what? 8.9 points with the Wizards. And then I'm like, you know what? No, he's going to be able to have more scoring options. He's going to have better players around him to do more with. And I feel like the biggest thing that Satoransky brings to this team is his versatility. We need you to play the one. Okay, go play the one. We need you to play the two to give Zach a rest. Okay, go play the two. We need you to play the three because either Otto is injured or Otto needs a rest. Okay, go out there and play the three. And then that allows us to match him up with different rotations. Do we see a Chris Dunn Satoransky backcourt? Do we see a Kobe White Satoransky? Because, hey, Sato's going to play the one. We can now have Kobe out there playing the two. Or do we see him out there where it's like, hey, we've got Chris, Zach, or if we do eventually throw Kobe at the one, Kobe, Zach, and Sato being at the three. That's what I love most about him is we're going to be able to throw him in so many different situations to where he's probably going to be the one player each and every night where for me, it'd be fun because you're not in a rhythm of like, yep, this is my position. This is what I play. He's going to be bounced all around that kind of backcourt and wing area to where it's like he's going to be playing with so many different guys where it's a challenge because you got to learn so many different guys' tendencies, but it's going to be fun because each game is probably going to be new and interesting to him out there on the court.
Yeah, I think Satoransky too. You've seen what he's done in the FIBA, and it shows that he isn't afraid of those big moments, and I do think that he'll probably end up being the starter for the Bulls at point guard, and like I said, I am extremely interested to what he can do against, with a quality starting five where, he was dealing with just Bradley Beal, and even at best he was dealing with Bradley Beal, John Wall, and Otto Porter. Even then, those guys
different Otto Porter too.
Yeah, he had to play a different role when playing next to John Wall. So I do think in a point guard role, I'd be extremely interested to see what Satoransky can do. Let's move on to some different guys. Goran Dragic, former All-Star, coming in here at 14. You had him exactly at 14. Dave had him at 13. I had him at 8. I think that he's most likely probably going to be the starter as well. We put Justice Winslow just because Winslow could be interesting. Winslow's probably going to be the sixth man. Dragic will be the starting point guard. I think people would probably take too much of last year into factor, and I think Dragic next to Butler is going to give him a huge rub this year. And I think Dragic is probably going to bounce back and look more like his 2017-2018 year than he will his 2018-2019 year.
So you think we're going to get more to the 17 to 20 point a game Goran Dragic?
Yeah, and I think and Goran Dragic is always a great passer. He's not a guy that turns the ball over. I think that playing next to Jimmy Butler is going to give him some new life, some new energy, and especially coming off of an injury as well and being fully healthy is going to help him too.
Yeah, with me, the only person that I could maybe, at the end of the day, switch him with is the guy I had right above him, Jabari Parker, where I feel like with Goran, there's, to me, everyone I've got locked in 1 through 12, they are the top 12, and I'm not moving them. Where with Goran, it's like, is he going to be good for the Heat? Yes. It's a natural question. But I question, with playing with Jimmy Butler, does he become the starter? Is he the leader of the second unit out there because they roll somebody else, like you said, Justice Winslow, out there, the one who we had, to where I almost feel like, is he going to get to 20 points a game again? I don't know. But for me, it needs to be more than 13. And if he can get to, for me, the sweet spot is 17 is the ceiling. If he gets back to last year or 2 years ago, you're perfect. But for me, a nice sitting point is 15 points. Give me 2, and I know it might not seem like a lot, Ricky, it's only 2 points more per game. But you're giving me just a little bit more scoring per game than you were this past year at 13.
But that was, again, due to injuries.
Yeah.
He didn't get a ton of playing time. He wasn't
and
fully
stay healthy. That's another thing.
Let's go to somebody who has been healthy and now in a different role, playing next to two stars in Kyle Kuzma. LeBron, AD, how do you think he's going to fit?
Yeah, for me, the thing is, he is going to be the leader of that second unit in my mind, where AD, LeBron, they're going to lead the starters. They're going to go out there. Now without Lonzo being there, without B.I. being there, he's kind of like the young star for this team, to where he is the true main scoring option to me off the bench for this team, where it's just like, hey, the second unit's out there, it's the Kyle Kuzma show. And what we saw even last year, 2 years ago, with the insane dunks, and it's like, holy shit, Kyle Kuzma's an amazing scorer. He's going to be able to do that because who else do they have on that second unit? And then when you put a guy like maybe Rondo out there, if Rondo is in the second unit and not starting point guard for them, you give him a guy like Rondo who can play defense in that backcourt, kind of take some pressure off of him. I know Kuzma more of a wing than a backcourt guy, but it's only going to help him to where his main focus in that second unit can be taking the ball and putting it in the basket.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I want to see from Kuzma, he's not a guy that will play any defense, so if he can at least be serviceable on that, that'd be sick. But I do want to see him bounce back up to his three-point shooting percent that he had in his rookie year. Kind of fell off the map last year, which is shocking because you're playing next to LeBron, but maybe having AD and LeBron out there and having those guys will take a little bit more pressure off of them, and that wasn't really the best unit out there because you had Lonzo, you had Brandon Ingram, you had LeBron. Maybe the fact that you have Danny Green out there and you have some guys that could shoot that aren't Lonzo. Maybe that gives him a bit more space, and I would like to see Kuzma just be a guy that is that extremely efficient guy off the bench, and if he is that, I think he's gonna have a great shot at six-man.
Do you think we see more of a rookie year type of, not numbers, but minutes wise, where hey, you only started 37 games, but you were still playing 30 plus minutes off the bench?
I think so. I think we're probably just going to see JaVale start for JaVale's sake. And not for JaVale's sake, but because AD doesn't want to
Dwight Howard.
No, I think you're probably gonna see that because AD doesn't want to play the 5 for some fucking reason. But yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. I think that we're gonna see Kuzma get a ton of minutes this year, and it's just really what can you do with it. Final players out there, anyone you want to touch on?
For me, the big one that I want to ask you about is Mikal Bridges. Like, this is a guy, when I was super high in the draft, what do we expect from him this year?
I'm glad you brought him up because that was the guy I wanted to talk about too. And now we get end 11 through 30 on a high note. Mikal Bridges, I think, it's a good sign that they traded Josh Jackson because that means more minutes for him. You don't have to worry about that. They also had Trevor Ariza going into last year. Now he's out of there. And also, this dude apparently has a ton of nicknames: Noodles, Inspector Go-Go, Gadget, String Bean Brittle, and Praying Mantis.
I'm gonna call him fucking Go-Go Gadget all the time now.
I'm just gonna call him Mikal. It's a pretty good name for him. But the biggest thing that I want to see from him, and he showed it last year at times too, he's a guy that did absolutely everything for this team. He was scoring, he was grabbing boards, he was dishing out assists, stole like a ball and a half a game. The thing that I just want to see from him is him getting more efficient because he is a guy that had great outlying stats. And I really can't look at his defensive rating because, well, it was the Suns and they didn't have anybody. Yeah. But looking at his defensive box score plus minus, that was a positive. He still had 1.2 defensive win shares. So I do think that his defense can't really be defined by his defensive rating exactly. And we do know that, at least in college, he did show that ability to be versatile. So maybe with DeAndre Ayton taking a step forward, with them being able to add some veterans around this, like Ricky Rubio, I think that his efficiency will come along, and I think his defensive outlying numbers will get better. And I do think that it's just going to be a second year, and you should assume that it's going to be a second year jump because of this team getting better all around. I think the addition of Rubio is huge because they finally have a point guard. So now Devin Booker will be able to have someone create for him, and Booker is great in the mid-range, and Booker's a decent passer as well, and I think Bridges can shoot a bit from the outside, at least when he's open. So I will be interested to see how he will do with more of a fluid offense, and with guys like Ricky Rubio being added, what he can truly do.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this is going to sound boring, but it's the one main thing that I look for from Mikal Bridges this year. Entering year number 2, how many more points? Like, I want an increase in points per game, and the only thing I wonder is how much of a points per game increase are we going to get because it's the Suns. Because Devin Booker is going to get his. DeAndre Ayton is going to get his. Kelly Oubre, I feel like, is going to get his. Ricky Rubio will get his, to where how many points will be going around for Mikal to get? Is it only an increase of like, cool, you're a 10 to 11 guy now instead of an 8 that
but
it
again,
still
he's
puts you
a
into
six man. It doesn't matter if he's getting 20 points per game because you got to look at the usage. And he's not going to be like Lou Williams who's getting a 30 usage as a 6 man because that's honestly ridiculous to expect that.
Do you think he still gets like 29 minutes a game of what he got last year?
Yeah, I think he's going to get an increase. I mean, okay. Josh Jackson's minutes are absolutely gone, so there needs to be an increase somewhere. He wasn't a for sure guy to even be their 6 man when we were coming down to it. I forget who else is on, who was battling off the top of my head.
I'll look in the text.
I got it right here. It was Mikal or it was
Cam Johnson.
No, it wasn't Cam Johnson.
Tyler Johnson.
Tyler Johnson.
I just saw Johnson and I thought Cam Johnson.
Yeah, but
John's boy.
Even then, Tyler Johnson has been able to run the point as well. So it's going to be fun that these guys can play next to each other, and I think that Mikal Bridges is going to get the opportunity to score. I don't think you should expect anything crazy from him, but as long as he is out there being efficient and can play good defense for this team, that's exactly what he's out there for. He's a guy that can play versatile D. He can cover the guys that Devin Booker can't. He's out there for guys that maybe Dario Saric can't. He can play well, I think, in any opportunity that they ask him to, and I think we're going to see a decent shot here from Mikal Bridges. I'm excited to see what he can do in year 2.
Yeah, no, me too. It's just for me, and yet again, I apologize if it's a boring take, but for me, it's kind of what I look at most 6 men in is how many points do you score? And Mikal, I just think it might be enough just to be a 10-point per game guy instead of an 8-point per game guy.
He was like 8.9.
I know.
So it's like
1
is a
point.
1 point increase going to put him top 10, Ricky?
It's a different. No, it's not going to put him top 10. That's just crazy. We got enough six men that deserve to be in that top 10.
All right, let's go in the top 10 here, 1 through 10.